While most crypto investors are still locked in the tired debate of Bitcoin versus Ethereum, man, they're missing the battle that actually matters now, Solana versus Ethereum. I know what you're saying, but Lark, isn't it Solana versus Sui now? That's a different conversation for a different day. Look, back in early 2023, Solana was trading at a 97% discount to Ethereum by market cap. As of today, that gap has closed around 68% and is shrinking fast. Solana's ecosystem is exploding with activity while Ethereum is stuck fighting fragmentation, a messy scaling roadmap, an Ethereum foundation that feels like it's lacking direction. So the real question is, can Solana realistically flip Ethereum? Is Ethereum going to lose its mantle? Let's talk about what would need to happen for this flippening to go from fantasy to fact. You see, Ethereum's a beast. I love Ethereum, don't get me wrong, please. Ethereum changed the game of smart contracts. We should all pay a bit of respect to ETH, okay? It's the reason why we even have terms like DeFi, NFTs, DAOs, all that other kind of stuff. It built the foundation for basically everything that came after. When it comes to size, Ethereum still dominates. It's got around 6x the total value locked and around 10x the stablecoin supply of Solana. With its massive first mover advantage, Ethereum has long been the king daddy. But the king got fat and complacent. The scaling roadmap, an absolute mess. Sharding, dank sharding, layer 2s, blobs, the tangled web of concepts, most of which should have been delivered years ago and most of which is still just pending at some point in the future. Risk V's coming, Fusaka upgrades coming, all kinds of stuff, but is it all too little too late? Even the most seasoned devs are struggling to navigate the convoluted roadmap. Users are stuck jumping between different chains or layer 2s. I gotta go from base to Arbitrum to Optimism to ZK Sync back to the main chain to get liquidity and the coins I want. It can be complicated, frustrating, and kind of feels like a chore for anyone trying to just get things done. And yeah, Ethereum still does dominate. It's starting to feel more like a settlement layer rather than the main event. The real action's, of course, shifting off to layer 2s, which is kind of what the Ethereum devs wanted, but it's a fractured experience. Transactions are happening off chain, well, off the main chain, right off the main Ethereum thing, not happening on layer 2 chains, but still under the Ethereum umbrella. Until Ethereum's scaling issues are fully addressed, its future remains a bit uncertain, even though its dominance remains intact, for now. With all that being said, ETH is still the OG. It's the GOAT, man. It's still proven, it's still stable, still decentralized, the most credibly neutral layer for smart contracts out there. But the action has been steadily moving elsewhere. Ethereum may have walked so Solana can run. Now before we dive deeper here, a quick shout out to today's sponsor. Look, if you're tired of 7-day bridge delays, jaw-dropping gas fees to do cross-chain swaps, meet Relay, the app that makes token swaps actually instant. One tap, you can move your assets across or within 80 different chains: Solana, Sui, Ethereum, Base. Swaps cost less than a cent in gas fees, literally any chain to any chain. And even better, cross-chain swaps are 0% fees all summer. This is the summer of Relay, baby, the summer of cross-chain swaps. So those pennies are going to stay in your pocket. The summer of Relay is here, and you can tap the link down below right now to experience DeFi and cross-chain swaps the way they're meant to be: fast, cheap, reliable, and borderless. Thank you very much for supporting our sponsors. Now, Solana. It's fast, it's cheap, and is now used by actual humans and big brands, according to a new bombshell report from digital asset manager 21 Shares called Solana, a blockchain built to blossom. Solana processed $364 billion in volume in just the first 2 months of 2025. That's more than Ethereum, more than Coinbase, second only to the effing NASDAQ. What? Solana is literally on its way to becoming the on-chain NASDAQ. But this isn't just, well, the on-chain NASDAQ for dog coins. But anyway, this isn't just a tech flex, it's a user story. You see, Solana's 0.44 second block time, it's 65,000 transaction per second capacity, million with Fire Dancer coming soon. Sub-penny fees. These aren't just specs. They're creating a better user experience. And that's attracting big players: PayPal, Visa, Shopify, Stripe, and others integrating with Solana, okay? Over 100 million monthly active users. Solana is the ultimate success story in crypto right now. Solana is now the most used blockchain network in the world by far. Suddenly, Solana doesn't look just like a fast layer 1 anymore. It looks like the backbone of the next generation of payments, and the growth currently is not slowing down. Solana's decentralized exchange volume is over double that of Ethereum's, now at 107 billion compared to 52 billion. Stablecoin activity on Solana has jumped dramatically, 600% year over year. Capital deployed on chain has exploded over 2,000% since the FTX fallout, and the developer base for Solana grew by 83%. beating Ethereum for the first time ever. So many metrics, so many other metrics we could share too. And let's not forget that everyone's also staking Solana. 65% of Solana is staked versus Ethereum's 28% staking ratio. That's crazy balls, man. Why is that? Because guess what? Solana is paying out over 8% in yield, which is significantly higher than Ethereum's measly 3%. Crazy numbers, guys. Crazy stats. And the list goes on. And yes, there are still some metrics like total value locked, where Ethereum's the clear winner, but more and more metrics keep leaning in the favor of Solana. Solana is winning on most of the metrics that matter. Now, 21 Shares analysts estimate Solana's fair value sits somewhere between $520 and $1,800. For context, if Solana hit $520, that's around 80% of ETH's market cap today. If it hits a little over $600, it would flip ETH today, assuming ETH stands still. And if it hits $1,100, it would match ETH's all-time high market cap. Solana isn't the ETH killer. It's kind of already been killing it. But with ETH breaking out against Bitcoin, Solana, of course, will need to keep outpacing if it wants to actually flip ETH at some point to become the top dog of the smart contract space. And here's where things get interesting. Institutions, more and more, are waking up to how, well, generally awesome Solana is. So far, Bitcoin and Solana are the only blockchains with corporate treasuries. Two publicly traded companies, DeFi Development Corp and Upexi, now hold around 600,000 Solana each on their balance sheets, which is pretty crazy, worth over $100 million. Canada just approved the first spot Solana ETF. Come on, America, catch up, man. The Canadians are beating you again. It's got staking rewards built in from day one as well. We should expect Solana ETFs to come soon in the US markets, and that'll be a real proving ground whether Wall Street wants Ethereum or Solana ETFs. And while the US is still fumbling around trying to decide whether or not to approve those ETF products, it does mean these ETFs can potentially cover their own fees with staking yield, creating a positive carry for investors. The US doesn't even have the staking feature on its Ethereum ETFs yet. It's so behind. And I know the new SEC is going to be addressing these things, so I understand that, okay? But what happens if and when the US follows suit and greenlights a spot Solana ETF with staking rewards? What's your average boomer or TradFi investor going to look at? The asset that's worth a quarter of Ethereum with better staking yields? Probably. Yeah, and I know we'll get ETH ETF staking rewards probably around the same time. That's certainly going to take the competition to a whole different level. But again, the APYs are still going to be better on Solana. Now, maybe if the stock market gets to decide the winner, because of these ETF inflows could bring huge amounts of money into Solana. Ethereum inflows have been rather muted so far, and there have been inflows, but certainly not the level of Bitcoin. But there will be a preference, and TradFi is about to tell us pretty soon, do they like ETH or do they like Solana? And it's going to be a fascinating competition to watch. Not only that, but companies can now issue SEC-registered public shares on Solana thanks to Superstate's opening bell platform. Yeah, you heard that right. We're now going to be able to get stocks on Solana. Real-world asset tokenization securities on-chain already live. Solana is front-running the BlackRock dream here. And it's not a theoretical here anymore either. This is stuff that's literally happening now. But if you want to know just how powerful Solana's ecosystem really is, then this stat's gonna blow your mind. Solana's applications, their dApps, made 2.5x more revenue than the Solana network itself in the last 2 months. For 7 months straight, Solana dApps have out-earned every other chain combined. And Solana network fees, we just got new information, I think it was today I read this, Solana network fees also double Ethereum, which was in position 2 and dramatically ahead of everybody else. Even as the meme coin hype faded a little, Solana's app layer continued to boom. It's more than just the meme coin casino, and a lot of people don't even understand that because they don't spend much time in the Solana ecosystem. Right now, Solana is cheap compared to Ethereum. It's already crushing it across most on-chain metrics, more users, faster transactions, higher staking rewards. So why hasn't Solana flipped Ethereum yet? It all seems to be lining up. When's it gonna happen? Well, of course, that leaves us with a few possibly uncomfortable truths. Perhaps Ethereum is just massively overvalued right now. I know it's been pumping recently. Lark, stop kicking Ethereum in the balls, man, my bag. Maybe Ethereum is just overvalued. Maybe Solana is just wildly undervalued and it doesn't need ETH to drop, but Solana just to keep rising. The market hasn't caught up to Solana's awesomeness yet, okay? Unlike Ethereum, where layer value leaks out to layer 2, Solana, of course, is taking value from other chains because it's got the full stack where everything's happening in one ecosystem. You don't have to bridge and all that BS, right? If Solana keeps up this insane level of growth while successfully delivering on its roadmap, which by the way it has, and it's been very successful at that compared to Ethereum, which has been a bit wishy-washy with it, then the discount that Solana currently has versus Ethereum will not last forever. But in the short term, there will be no rally more hated than an ETH rally. And it has been rallying recently, and that's good for all of crypto. In the end, both these assets can win, but there's one that is clearly undervalued compared to the other, and that asset's name is Solana. Thanks for watching.